Hare Krishna. Welcome to our program. Our speaker of the day is Shriman Gauranga Darshan Prabhu. He has done his master's degree from the prestigious Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. Prabhuji is a disciple of His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj, who is a senior disciple of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. He is also a member of ISKCON Examination Board and takes classes on Srimad Bhagavatam, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita and Vaishnav etiquettes. He has written elaborate workbooks on Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita, with which the students can dive into intricacies of these great scriptures. He is a compiler of many other educational booklets and magazines, thus helping the seekers of Bhagavad knowledge. In all, he is a living encyclopedia of scriptures, preaching the science all over the world, and who is exemplary and lives whatever he preaches. Come, let's hear him and try to imbibe the essence of scriptures as presented by him. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. In the previous episode, we have discussed about the quality of non-enviousness. We have seen how non-enviousness is a quality that is required for us to understand Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam also. And we have also seen the examples of Chitraketu's wives and also Indra, who became envious and then developed destructive tendencies, hard-heartedness, and they lost their good intelligence also. The effect of non-envy is that it will degrade our consciousness and make us develop so many destructive tendencies. So we have seen all this. Actually, envy means indirect appreciation of others. As we discussed before, when someone has something and if we don't have it, then we feel envious of the other person who has what we want, and we may develop destructive tendencies. But actually, when we are envious of another person, we need to contemplate that why am I being envious of him? Because he has something which I want. Means having it is very good and very great. Means I adore and I appreciate the position of possessing something that the other person has. That means our envy towards another person is an indirect appreciation of other person. In fact, we desire that kind of similar appreciation for ourselves. That's why we are envious of another person, and that envy is actually indirect appreciation. So somebody is wealthy and I am not so wealthy. And if I am very envious of other person, that means I am appreciating the quality of being wealthy. So instead of indirectly appreciating another person, if we can directly appreciate him, that's wonderful. That is being non-envious. Actually, whenever we see that another person has some good qualities, maybe he is very beautiful, he is very wealthy, or he is very influential, he is very knowledgeable. So whenever we see these good qualities of another person, we need to understand that God has bestowed His mercy upon that person. That's why he has all these privileges. I should not be unnecessarily envious of this person. So, without God's sanction, without Krishna's sanction, not a blade of grass moves. So, without Krishna's sanction, can the other person become great? So, if I am envious of this person's greatness, basically I am going against God's will, God's sanction, God's desire. So, the scriptures say that when we are envious of another person, it's actually envy towards God. Our envy towards God's decision or God's will or God's sanction is reflected in our envy towards other people. Actually, whatever a person deserves, not desires, deserves, God will sanction that to the person. So we need to understand that this person has these qualities by the mercy of God, and I have some good qualities by the mercy of God. So I should be satisfied with whatever I have, and I should appreciate with whatever God has given him, instead of unnecessarily having envy towards another person. Now, some people may have this superiority complex of possessing so many great qualities or great privileges, and some people have inferiority complex. So this superiority complex or inferiority complex will make our life complex, that just because we are proud that we are great or we are envious that another person is great, we are actually going against the will of God, because our greatness or another person's greatness is actually a blessing of God. Krishna or Supreme Lord Vishnu has bestowed some benediction, some boon upon each and every living entity. And we should just accept this grace, and we should acknowledge Krishna's grace upon us, and we should be grateful for the benedictions that we receive, and we should appreciate another person's blessings also. So if we are unnecessarily envious of another person's greatness, or if we are proud of our own greatness, we are basically attributing the credit of whatever we have or others have to ordinary human beings. But credit for everything, for every possession, every wonder belongs to God, not to the human beings. Without God's sanction, nothing will happen. So if we live a life centered in God consciousness, Krishna consciousness, then we can develop this quality of non-enviousness or any other Vaishnava quality. Now, there is a beautiful shloka in Srimad Bhagavatam that describes that bhakti is the basis of all good qualities. Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavatya kinchana sarvair gunaistatra samasate surat harava bhaktasya kuto mahadguna manorathena satidhavato bahi. Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavati akinchana. If one performs devotional service unto Krishna, which is akinchana bhakti, which is unalloyed devotion, we should not have any undue material expectations or selfish agendas behind our practice of bhakti. If we do such selfless and seamless devotional service unto God, unto Krishna, unto the Supreme Lord, then sarvair gunais tatra samasate suraha. All the great qualities of even great demigods also will manifest in the personality of a devotee. Thus, we need to understand that our devotion to Krishna is the basis of possessing all good qualities. So one should not be unnecessarily envious of another person. There is a beautiful shloka in Srimad Bhagavatam that describes how we can develop this quality of being non-envious, or how we can give up this quality of being envious. Purusho Ramacharitam Shravanair Upadharayan Anrisham Saparo Rajan Karma Bandhaihi Pramuchyate. Purusho Ramacharitam. Lord Ramachandra is the Supreme Purusha. Purusho Ramacharitam Shravanair Upadharayan. If we are able to hear the glories of Lord Ramachandra as described in Ramayana, or even in Srimad Bhagavatam also the Lord's pastimes are described. So if we can hear the pastimes of Lord Ramachandra, Purusho Ramacharitam Shravanair Upadharayan Anrisham Shaparo Rajan, means a person can become non-envious by hearing the qualities and pastimes of Lord Ramachandra or Lord Krishna. Basically by following the process of Shravanam, means hearing Krishna's glories and Ram's glories, we can develop good qualities of non-enviousness. And especially hearing Ram's qualities is described to be a very important means by which we can overcome this quality of enviousness. So, Purusho Ramacharitam Shravanair Upadharayan Anrisham Shaparo Rajan Karma Bandhaihi Pramuchyate. Bhagavatam describes that there are 3 levels of non-enviousness. First level is being non-envious of other people. Simple. Basically, if another person is successful, more successful than us, we should just feel happy for it, and we should that success should not bother us. When a person is feeling so envious of another person's success, then that will only cause pain within his own self, right? Envy is basically self-envy. When we are envious of another person, more than causing any destruction or damage to the other person out of envy, we damage our own peace. We damage our own mental equilibrium. So our envy will destroy ourselves more than destroying others. So it is self-envy. Even if apparently an envious person can manage to destroy another person, still ultimately he will meet with his destruction. If not in this life, at least in the next life. Because envy towards another living entity is such a deep-rooted anartha in a person that it will cause some negative reaction someday or the other. Now we will discuss the 3 levels of non-enviousness. First level is when another person is successful, that does not cause any negative feelings in you. You are not envious. That is the basic level. At least one should be able to digest another person's success instead of feeling envious. Oh, how can he be so successful when I am here? Second level of non-enviousness is being a genuine well-wisher of another person. First level is you don't feel bad when other person is successful. Second level is you become his well-wisher. If you can assist the other person in being successful, that's wonderful. You act as a well-wisher instead of being an envious person. And the third level of non-enviousness is very important. To establish a competitionless society with God in center means to make every single human being non-envious, to make every single human being as a genuine well-wisher of other human beings. If only we can strive to establish a society in this direction, that is the greatest level of non-enviousness, right? So these are the 3 levels of non-enviousness described in Srimad Bhagavatam. So when we are envious of another person, we need to understand that we are only experiencing the pain of envying the another person. So just like we are children of God, the other person whom we are envious of is also a child of God. Can the father be happy when one child is envying another child? So we need to contemplate on this reason to develop this quality of non-enviousness, that Krishna will not be happy, Lord Ramachandra will not be happy, Lord Vishnu will not be happy, God will not be happy if I hate his children, if I become envious of his other children. So just to please God, we should be non-envious, and that non-enviousness will keep us peaceful also. So that will please us, that will make us peaceful, that will please God, that will please other people. Why can't we do something that causes happiness to so many people like this? God is happy, other people are happy, you are happy by being non-envious. But by being envious, we are not happy, God is not happy, the other person whom we are envious of, that person is also not happy. Why should we create such ambience or atmosphere of unhappiness amongst the people? And we should also understand that when Krishna has not given us something, when God has not bestowed some blessing upon us, He has a plan behind it. Maybe we don't deserve it, or we deserve something else other than this. It's not necessary that everybody gets everything in life. Some people get some things, other people will get other things. So when I am not bestowed with something, although I may desire it, we need to understand God has sanctioned this much only. I am not discouraging people who want to endeavor to achieve something in life. That has to be there. One should not be unnecessarily be sentimental. Okay, whatever is there in my life, I'll just live with this. That is not the message. We should endeavor for a better grade of life. higher consciousness. But that should not be done at the cost of destroying others by being envious of others. That's the point I'm trying to make. So we need to understand this one beautiful shloka from Bhagavad Gita that says, Bhoktaram yagna tapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram. Bhoktaram yagna tapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram means the Lord is Bhokta, the enjoyer of everything in this world. Second, Sarvaloka Maheshwaram means he is the owner, he is the proprietor and controller of all planets. Bhoktaram Yagnatapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. Third line is Suhrudam Sarva Bhutanam Gnatva Mam Shanti Mrichati. Suhrudam Sarva Bhutanam means Krishna is the ultimate well-wisher of every single living entity. Whether it is movable or immovable, human or non-human, it is God, Krishna, who is the ultimate well-wisher. Krishna says like that in Bhagavad Gita, Bhoktaram Yagnatapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram Suhrudam Sarva Bhutanam Gnatva Mam Shantim Richati. By understanding Krishna to be the enjoyer, to be the proprietor and to be the supreme well-wisher of every single person, we will attain peace. So, Krishna is the other person's well-wisher who may have something that you are desiring, and Krishna is your well-wisher also. If God is directly my well-wisher and his well-wisher also, why should I be envious of another person? So, Krishna, out of his being the well-wisher of this person, has bestowed him some blessing, and Krishna is my well-wisher also, and he will bestow upon me also something. So why should I unnecessarily disapprove Krishna's decision, disapprove Krishna's benediction or boon or blessing upon some innocent person, right? Now, even if sometimes other people are envious of us, before labeling them as being envious people, we should check, do I have some pride in my own accomplishments, my own possessions? Very important thing. Before calling other people as envious of us, we should check if there is any pride. Maybe I am proud of my accomplishments and possessions, that I am perceiving envy in another person. Second point, if we perceive pride in another person, before labeling him as a proud person, we should check within our own hearts. Maybe I am envious of this person, that's why I am perceiving pride. So our perception of envy or pride in others could be our perception only, not necessarily that they are proud or they are envious. So if they are really proud, if they are really envious, Krishna will deal with them. Krishna will do the needful to rectify their rebellious mentality, right? So, but I should not be stamping. If it is specifically bothering me in certain way, I may have to do the needful by escalating the matter to the relevant people who can make some difference. But one important check that we need to do is, before labeling another person as proud or envious, we should check for envy or pride in us, right? I am perceiving pride in him, probably I am envious. I am perceiving envy in him, probably I am proud. So we need to do this check before moving further in that direction. So we need to consciously make an effort to overcome this quality of being envious towards others. That will disturb our mental peace, that will disturb other people's peace also, and that will ultimately displease God. So to please God, we should give up this quality of being envious towards other people. And we have this example of Diti. Diti is the wife of Kashyapa Muni, and she became very envious of her co-wives. So her co-wives, her sisters, they all had children, but Diti did not have children. So Diti suddenly became very envious of all these co-wives and went to Kashyapa Muni at a wrong time. And she said, let's unite with each other. I want children right now, so please impregnate me. She requested Kashyapa Muni. And Kashyapa Muni told that, my dear Diti, this is not the right time to unite. And if we unite at this time, Lord Shiva will be very, very displeased. And also, if we unite at this time, the resultant children that we are going to get are not very, will not be very good. So, but Diti, because of her envy towards other co-wives, she could not pay any heed towards the advice of Kashyapa, and then because of her mistake of uniting with her husband at a wrong time, she gave birth to two great demons named Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. And we have another example of Daksha. Daksha was extremely envious of Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva married Sati Devi, who is a daughter of Daksha, and thus Shiva is the son-in-law of Daksha in one sense. Although Shiva is the greatest demigod and Shiva's position is much, much superior to Daksha. Daksha is a Prajapati, he is the progenitor of mankind, but Shiva is the supreme demigod, right? His position is way higher. But because Shiva happened to be son-in-law of Daksha, Daksha thought that Shiva must respect him. So Shiva is supposed to give me respect, he is not giving me respect. And also Daksha was very envious and he had very great hatred towards Shiva's exalted position. So Daksha insulted Shiva in an assembly where so many sages and demigods assembled. So once all the great sages and Prajapatis and demigods assembled together to conduct a great sacrifice. At that time, Daksha entered that arena, offered obeisances to Brahma, and many other people just got up to respect Daksha. But because Lord Shiva was absorbed in meditating on Lord Vishnu, he could not get up and offer respects to Daksha. So Daksha became so offended. You are inferior to me. You have accepted my daughter and became my son-in-law. I am your father-in-law. I am superior to you. You are supposed to offer respects to me. And he chastised him, criticized him, and cursed him that he will not have any share in the sacrificial oblations in that sacrifice. And although so many people were pleading him and trying to pacify him, Daksha just left from that sacrificial arena. All this is because of his envy. Because of his envy, although Daksha conducted another sacrifice later, he did not invite Shiva or Sati. But Sati, out of her affection for father, Sati went to Daksha's sacrifice, and there Daksha did not welcome Sati. Daksha neglected Sati completely, and Daksha did not arrange for any oblations for the greatest of demigods, Shiva also. Sati got offended and chastised Daksha, and she gave up her body. Then Shiva became so perturbed and he created this Virabhadra who went and killed Daksha, who beheaded Daksha. So because of envy towards Lord Shiva, Daksha lost his head. Of course, later because of Brahma's intervention, Shiva became very kind to revive Daksha's life and gave him a goat head. But basically the point I am trying to convey here in this episode is, if we are envious of great personalities, that will lead to our own destruction. Envy is basically self-envy.
For more such devotional programs, please watch Hare Krishna television. To get this channel, please contact your cable or DTH operator. For more information, please call 8767 845 845.